what made you want to write or create this album?
Okay. This album, I had written a lot of songs, and I picked out from those songs the ones to put on the album. I mean, they were very different situations. Like I said, here I was leaving Colombia. I wrote that song before I left Colombia. My Lighthouse I wrote a year after living in the U.S. when I was feeling like I really just wanted a home and I was homesick and I was tired of being here alone. Sankova I wrote the summer right after, and it was kind of me dealing with I had a relationship in Colombia that I left, and it was me dealing through those emotions. So that was Sankova. And then Ways of Freedom I wrote 6 years ago.
Wow.
And I revisited, but I was something about that song, I felt like it had the same theme. So they're really kind of all over the place. They were written at different times, but when I looked at all the songs I had, I felt like those went together. This song, when I wrote it, it was first of all, Ways of Freedom, I wrote it in a really, really hard time in my life. I was in a very destructive, almost, at least verbally and emotionally abusive relationship, and mutually. And it was a song that, it's probably the most raw song I have, because it was an expression of frustration. I didn't write it because I wanted to have a song. I wrote it because I needed some outlet. Yeah. Because it was a situation where, my parents didn't know, my friends didn't know. I was hiding it from everyone, so I needed an outlet. And this song was an outlet. But I remember at the time, I had to change the song because I didn't want anyone to think, oh, dang, he's, going through something. I was okay, I'll just, warp the lyrics a little bit and make it a happier song. So when I revisited it, I was I tried to bring it back to what it was originally, how I wrote it as. Yeah. And kind of even though I'm at a much better place in my life, I can still look at that, and like I was talking about before, it's that little picture, that little scene of my life, of one event in my life.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, really good songs that, you listen to the song, you're like, man, this is great, and you kind of look into it. It's a lot of times it is the artist, it's as an outlet. So it's, because for me, I love music, obviously a huge part of my life, but I have no idea about songwriting, no idea about, so it's really cool to see, hear, firsthand, how that's done, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting for sure.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. How long did the album creation process, take? Not just necessarily writing, because obviously you mentioned the song that you had written forever, but, recording and all that kind of stuff.
I think once I put the songs together and I was like, I'm going to make an album, that whole process, I started last summer, and that's when I wrote 2 of the songs, because I was like, I want 2 more songs for this album. It doesn't feel right where it's at. And so that whole period of time was around 6 to 7 months, because I spent 2 or 3 months finishing writing. And the thing is, with writing, you revisit it a lot. Yeah. You rarely. My Lighthouse is the only song that I wrote and I never changed, and that happens rarely. Usually I write it and then I have to. Usually I write 10-minute songs and then I have to revisit it and see okay, where am I gonna write bring this down to 3 minutes, because no one really wants to listen to a 10-minute song.
Split it up in 3 songs.
Yeah.
One song. Huh.
Would you ever put out a 10-minute song if it's just something that you
okay, I think we were kind of talking about this the other day, but if I got to a point where I had a solid income from music and I had a little bit more liberty, I think I'd do a lot of weird stuff.
Oh, for sure. You gotta do weird stuff, because if you just stick to I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be really uniform, it's that's cool and all, but if you do weird stuff, people are gonna notice, because no one remembers.
Sam Vasco releases a 10-minute song.
That'd be awesome.
What's going on?
That's really cool. Gosh.
I mean, it makes me think of Mumford and Sons, and they go to South Africa, and they're put on a concert, and they do this whole EP album, and they're oh yeah, we wrote this yesterday.
Goodness.
So that's the kind of flexibility I want someday to be able to one of the things we've talked about is an instrumental. I started with classic guitar, so I've written a lot of instrumentals, but we've never really recorded those or gotten those produced, because it's not our biggest interest point. Yeah. But if I had the flexibility and time and money, I'd love to do those kind of projects.
Like if you had, obviously, like you said, flexibility and stuff, you'd absolutely put it like an entire instrumental album out just to kind of like instrumentals of your own stuff, or obviously your own stuff, but like, for example, like Sankofa instrumental, or like entirely original. That's really interesting. I've never seen entirely original instrumentals from an artist who also has
like,
music lyrics.
That's why I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But man, like writing a 10-minute song, I've tried to sit down and be like, I'm gonna write a song before, and I get like 3 sentences. And you write like a 10-minute song, and you're like, okay, I have too much.
Yeah.
How many have you ever had written that song 10 minutes or whatever, and then been like, kind of what he mentioned, and you could put it into 2 songs? Or is it just always
actually, I think it was Hirith that I put like 3 different songs together, because when I addressed Hirith, it was different than any other song because I had the urgency of needing to write something, which I hadn't had before. And so I sat there and I was like, well, I have this kind of like melody I've been playing with and these lyrics, and then I just kind of threw it all together, and it came out in like, first it was a 10-minute song, then it was like a 7-minute song, and I took it to a producer, a friend of mine, and he was like, yeah, that's not gonna, like, you have a lot of cool stuff, but you need to choose one and like just go with one. So Hirith was like super, it still is a little bit eclectic, but yeah.
Is that the closest song you've had to being long?
Yeah, because I even used things that I didn't use in that song that I meant to use in that song in other songs.
That's cool.
Like little melodies and things like that that were originally in that song. I used them for different songs.
Awesome.